back at WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. We're keeping calm. We are staying local around here. Haven't had this guy on in a while, and I tell you what, from the sports side of things and coronavirus and changing all of our patterns and normalcy, Rob Shields comes on from Advance Realty. He was in the diamond business for a period of time from over Towson University and local sports fan as well. No opening day. No Final Four, no Terps, no Sweet 16, no Sweet anything, and really just a lot of time, I think, for sports fans to either watch A Football Life with Bill Belichick or watch some old wrestling videos, maybe read a book. But this is something I don't think any of us who love sports are used to, Rob.
No, not at all. I mean, for me personally, this is my favorite time of year with everything kind of wrapped up with, of course, March Madness and opening day, and you get the Masters around the corner, and, you know, at least we're able to still deal with the NFL free agency and the prep for the draft and stuff like that. But this is my favorite time of year, so this is killing me not to have any of this stuff going on right now.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, I've said at the beginning, like, what do you miss the most? What, you know, where are you going to go and want to go sit and have a beer or sit in a restaurant or hug someone or see your kids or grandkids or travel to see that special person in your life that you can't get on a plane or get in a car and go see right now. But there's something about sports and the familiarity and something about this that is very cursed. You know, it's very weird that the gathering of music and sports, the things that I love the most, you know, a night at Merriweather or, you know, just being amongst people if you're an extrovert, sports and it coming back, I don't know that it's going to be so easy. I don't know that we're just going to, maybe the Orioles, who don't draw a lot of people, maybe they can open up, but the notion that 70,000 people are going to gather for a football game or 100,000 people are going to gather for a college football game, that seems a little weird and far-fetched, and we're only a couple of weeks into this right now.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think what we're going to be looking at is, you know, as the weather gets warmer, we'll probably see a little bit of decline in this, and you know, things will seemingly get better. It seems to always happen with the flu season and stuff like that. But we're also
you're listening to the president. I get it. Yeah,
well,
I'm not betting on that, by the way. But go ahead.
Actually, I listened to my mom, who's a nurse, and she does infectious diseases for a long time. So, but
that's better than Trump, by the way. So I'll give you big thumbs up on that. Yeah, that's a better resource than the OANN network. Yes, I'll give you that.
But the problem is we're also not that far away from fall and winter ramping back up. So kind of go to your point, are people going to be okay with getting into these large stadiums knowing that, hey, this is still sticking around? Because I don't know that we're going to see a vaccine by then. I mean, I guess it's possible, but it might be a little wishful thinking to think it's going to be that quick.
Well, I just think the gathering of people for anything, that's the thing we all want to do, right? We all want to go to a ball game. I don't know if that's going to be even the first or the fifth thing that happens, you know, and games without fans, which, you know, Angelo's had no problem doing that. We learned that, right? So that might be the next thing, right? The next thing might be, you can watch it on TV, but you can't go.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what's going to happen with baseball, especially in the NBA and the NHL. I mean, you know, my thought is that the NBA and the NHL should just jump right into the playoffs. Baseball obviously can get their season going. I personally like the idea of a shorter season for baseball. Maybe not as short as it's going to be, but
that means we don't have to lose 100 this year. I mean, look at the top side at this, right?
Yeah, I mean, so I mean, it really does stink for the Orioles this year, though, because this was going to be I think this has had a good chance to be a pretty good evaluation year for a lot of their young players, and now you've lost, you know, at least 2 months, probably even more than that, of time to evaluate these kids, But yeah, no, I tend to agree. I think we're going to have, you know, fanless sports for a little while, and the players are just going to have to generate their own energy, which, you know, some of them are already complaining about, but it's better than nothing.
Well, let your mom know. I want her on the show next week to talk infectious diseases, because you and I don't get sports back till we get this solved, right? And I think that's the real challenge for all this. I mean, you're in a realty space. You've been involved in government. You've been involved in diamond selling. You've been a sports fan. You obviously see all this and see all this sort of carnage around us for business, for not knowing about when the next time any of us are going to do anything. How do you explain this to your children? We've lost sports seasons and proms and senior years and all of these other things. But the notion that it's going to come back soon is something that I think some of us cling on to some degree, but we also see the reality of where this looks like it's headed for maybe the next 90 days and what it's going to do to every facet of our life.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously, I have people in my life where obviously I want them to never get this. They're older and stuff like that. But, I have a big concern over the economy, the housing market, all that kind of stuff, like really totally collapsing. It's really sad to see. I mean, as sad as it is to see all these people, getting this and whatnot, and the 2% or whatever the number is right now, the people that are passing away from it. But, I don't want to see 50 million unemployed and people losing their homes and, and all that kind of stuff, and families out on the street and things like that. So that's where, we really start to worry. And you're right. It's the uncertainty of everything right now that's, it's clouding, it's that big cloud over everything right now.
Well, I've started this Baltimore Positive thing here famously because I couldn't sell my condo. I live down at the Inner Harbor. I invested all of, my life for 20 years here, and the marketplace was already pretty shook up. We're trying to elect a mayor here that can actually run things, unlike what we're currently, what we've seen here for the last 12 years or so. So we get all that going on, and then on top of this, we have this pandemic for what it's going to do to real estate, let alone in a place like me who couldn't sell my place. There's going to be a lot of places that are going to be, there's going to be a real depression in that industry, I think, and the government's going to have to get involved here in so many ways in regard to these $1,200 checks and me being a small business owner and, forgiveness and all of these things over 90 days. But real estate and where it leaves that industry right now. And I know a lot of people are dangling, right? I mean, you're trying to close, you're trying to get to closing, you're trying to make something happen. You can't really move a house during this period of time. You got a lot of time on your hands. There's a lot of things to consider if you were swept up in the real estate market right now, right?
Yeah, I mean, personally, and I say this with the assumption that the person who would be looking at a home is somebody who is in a stable job, something, where they're not looking to where they're not, going to be looking at getting fired or anything anytime soon. But I mean, it's a good time, I think, to sell it. I mean, I had a friend of mine who recently put his house on the market. He got 3 offers in the first couple of days that he had, and he ended up selling it for $5,000 over list, and that was just last week. So I think it's a good time.
Location.
Sure. And I think that there are like the one thing that I have a client right now who's interested, and he's on the fence about it. And I said, first of all, listing your house doesn't cost you any amount of money. So if you list your house and nobody's interested or whatever, and you think that you need to pull it off the market, so be it. That's not always the best look, but right now I think people would understand it given everything that's going on. But the rates are pretty low. The inventory isn't strong. So what that means is the people who are looking right now are going to be very serious. And if there's not a whole lot on the market for them to compare to, your house could look a whole lot better than it would if all of a sudden everybody floods the market in the fall and there's 75 houses just like yours on the market. So, it's definitely something that you have to weigh, but people also need to understand that it doesn't cost you anything to list your house. So, you have to get the house together, and maybe you don't feel like doing that because you don't think anybody's going to look at it. But, I think it's a small price to pay, considering all you're doing is staying at home right now to kind of go out and see and see if you get somebody to take a look at it. And, maybe you'll get lucky.
Rob Shields joining us here. He is a realtor with Advance Realty, has worked in the diamond space. He's been a friend of ours and a sponsor over the course of time, and a big sports fan like all of us, sort of having some withdrawal. So are you doing any of this stuff? I haven't. I have not watched the 1985 NCAA championship. My wife was joking with me on Sunday. She said, hey, the Orioles are on. I'm like, oh, another Massing Classic. I would probably be more moved to watch a Football Life or, some sort of NFL filmsy kind of presentation, whatever it would be, on whatever sport or whatever topic, that this has been a nice little, for me, after 30 years of doing this and chasing athletes, 12 and a half months a year, around and around and around. I would have been at the NFL owners meetings the other day. I was supposed to be flying to Amsterdam tomorrow for the man who saved my life's wedding this week. So things have definitely taken a turn in that way, but I'm trying to think of the next time, right, that I am going to go to a sporting event or a concert, Rob, and that's all I've ever done in my life is go to concerts and go to sporting events. I'm trying to think, when is the next time that's going to happen? And what month is it going to be? What venue is it going to be? Who am I going to be with? What concert? What ball game? And I've lived my whole life, even through 2 cancer episodes with my wife, the game was still on Sunday. And even if I wasn't there, I was in a hospital room watching Joe Flacco. There's something really, really psychologically different about this, right? And one time in our life, we all experience it. But I really am wondering that next time what that's going to be and what I would want it to be. Do I want it to be a lawn show at Merriweather? Do I want it to be an upper deck at a ball game? Am I okay with it being a crappy preseason football game? I don't know. But it's starting to feel like that's the notion that we're going to a baseball game in May at Camden Yards. That doesn't feel real to me.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I still hope to be there on, whatever they want to consider opening day when they have their first game back. But, the sports aspect of it definitely gives you a release on things. I'm not currently watching any of the old stuff. I never really have done a whole lot of that. I'm able to catch up on all of our Netflix stuff and all that kind of stuff. But for me, it's kind of the people who are trying to say that the NFL shouldn't hold the draft. I think that's a ridiculous notion personally, because, first of all, the draft is a TV event. So, being able to just call in your picks or whatever, it may not have the same excitement, but I think it gives people something to hold on to and to look forward to right now in this time where there's very little to look forward to outside of course, being able to spend time with your family and all. But beyond that, there's not really a whole lot to look forward to right now. So, I'm not the biggest fan in the world of Roger Goodell and stuff like that, but I'm kind of glad that he's kind of put his foot down and said, no, we're doing this. Now, I know it's for different reasons, and the NFL is loving this in a lot of ways because they are the only game in town and they love to be the center of attention. But
if we get 25,000 dead Americans by that night, I don't know. I'm wondering because they have continued on, and I'm okay with it, and I'm fine with it. We send out our WNST text brought to you by Coons Florida Security Boulevard. We break news, and I can talk a little football with Luke, and it feels a little left-handed to me, based on what we're all doing here, jobs being all the things all the heavy lifting we've been talking about here the last 20 minutes. But there is something comforting about it that I can look at my schedule right now and literally everything's gone. If I could look 3 weeks from Thursday and say, well, all right, there's something for me to do. A couple days to sort of pass time in front of the television. I see why the NFL's doing it. I see that it's relevant right now. I just don't know where they're going to be, and I would think they're going to play that by ear because they could push it back 2 weeks if they had to.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very possible. I mean, you bring up a good point. If people are dying left and right and everything else, is it really like the thing to do? The other side, and
by the way, there's no reason to believe that they won't be. By the way, I'm not a pessimist. I'm the positive guy. I watch the news. I see what's going on in China. I see what's going on in Italy, and I see what idiots are doing in America and being led by other idiots to do idiotic things. I've seen how seriously our country's taking this, and I do worry. I do worry about the NFL season. I worry about the disease coming to the South and attacking these small towns, which it's going to do, and they'll be less prepared for it on a longer time scale, and that could really crush this country if this shuts the country down for 6 months.
Yeah, no, I mean, no question. I mean, it is interesting, the balance of when do you get everything back going, because at some point, I don't know what that point is. I mean, I think that point is going to be different for everybody, but at some point, the economy completely crashing, and it's not that it's not like money is the most important thing, but the economy really is the country in a lot of ways. And if the economy is going to totally crash down around us, at some point you have to avoid that. Now, whether it's, hey, let's give it another, Trump had the order of going through, April 30th, whether it's getting through that point and then opening it back up, or it's getting to that point and saying, nope, we got to keep it closed for a couple more weeks. But I think if we get too far into May and start getting into June and all, I think it starts to become a real problem, even a bigger problem than what we're facing now. And that's got to be the part that all these governors and all the politicians and everything else really have to weigh is, how long do we let this go before, we're really get to the point of no return. And, that's the uncertainty part of it. That's the thing that really is that's the thing that's tough about all of this.
Rob, wash your hands. Stay safe, please. All right. I know you're out and about a little bit here in a necessary capacity to do things. Good luck with the realty thing and pulling that thing back together. I know we've gotten to know you through the diamond business and other places, and through Towson and locally and sports and all the things that we do around here. I hope we get back to sports soon, right? I mean, I got my pandemic logo going right now because there really are no. I say we never stop talking Baltimore sports. Well, I guess we have to stop talking Baltimore sports when Baltimore sports stops, right? And that's sort of the weird part of all of this. But I do hope we can get a baseball season in. I hope everybody stays safe, does the right thing, and and we find ourselves in a better spot maybe sometime in June talking about baseball around here. Hopefully, huh?
Yeah, and not only that, and I think with everything being pushed back, I mean, if we're able to clear this hurdle, fall is going to be amazing for sports. I mean, you're going to have the Masters, maybe the U.S. Open, all the football. I mean, you're going to have everything going on, baseball, obviously. So I guess we can try to look forward to that. And I would echo the same thing that you said. Everybody stop being stupid. There's just too much of it. Because the problem is, even if you think that they're wrong, which, whatever, but even if you think that, it's not changing anything. So stop making everybody have to wait that much longer to do everything.
That's it, man. We're all in it together. Rob, appreciate all that you've done to partner with us over the past years, and hopefully we get out of this thing. There'll be a beer and a ball game and a hot dog for all of us, and if not, a tailgate for football season, for crying out loud, right?
That's right. Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Rob, appreciate you. Rob Shields joining us from Advance Realty. You can find him out on LinkedIn as well. And I'll tell you what, we are getting out and talking to local people with local business issues, local things going on here. If you heard our friends from the CVP in Towson doing incredible things for first responders and doctors and nurses in Towson. We've got sponsors shipping crab cakes, and Fadley's and Costas are doing that. Support our local businesses around here, the ones that are staying open, curbside, and make an order. Take care of each other. Keep your hands clean. We are WNST.net. We're keeping calm. We're staying local. And we are Baltimore positive.